Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. It is finally here. It is finally arrived. From Hormel chili. It's the Ghost Reaper, world's hottest chili with beans, and Ghost in the Mighty Mighty Reaper. Ever since I knew this product existed, I wanted to at least try this. I've been looking for it hither and yon, to and fro, high and low. And it was reintroduced to the market in 2024. And I didn't know that. I didn't find out until December, so I had to scour the Walmarts to find it. It was only in Walmart. What's interesting is that the Walmart I did find this at had cases of it. They had a stack of it, but do you know where it was? Can you imagine where it was? It was in the meat section. It was in the raw meat section next to a cooler. Why was it there? The world may never know. It was not with the chilies. I actually had to hunt someone down, gasp, and talk to a real live person. What? An employee of Walmart. But she was very nice. She was a very, very, very nice person, and she knew what I wanted right away. I showed her a picture on my iPhone, which probably made it easier, but she led me right to it, and I was so grateful. I said, thank you. So, anyway, I chased it down, and I already had a crappy canned chili for National Chili Day, and I thought, well, what about National Chili Dog Day, because I haven't done that, and there is a holiday for everything. And of course, if you pay attention to the nonsense I did in 2024, and now running it into 2025, I'm not going to do every single unsung holiday that exists. But so we have the Ghosties, number 1 to number 7. So I wonder what is between those two. I don't understand what this graphic is. Whatever. Okay, so let's see what we have. We have green chilies. Okay, done. So we have the Ghosty pepper powder here. Uh-oh. We have onions. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to eat. We also have the Reaper chili powder. So it's powders, is not the actual chiles that are in here, as what might be expected. Less than 2% of this, so it is their regular chili, which is fine as far as canned chilies go. It is the only one I had access to when I lived in the Midwest, because I think Hormel has a plant in, I want to say, Minnesota or something like that. This one lists Wisconsin. Once I moved to the southwestern area of the United States, there was a lot more different chili brands that I had never heard of before that I had access to, which was useful until I gave up because they're all kind of universally crappy, and just started making chili myself. So 2024, for the first time in probably a couple decades, I bought canned chilies, and specifically to do videos on. So the other one was, I think, Wolf something or other. You can check out that video in the Everything Else playlist. And I believe I put it in Hot Animal Action. 2 playlists where this will also live. So anyway, enough babbling about that. We might as well crack it on open, see what we can see. Okay, and here's what we can see. We can see, you know what? Oh, we put it in a bowl. Oh, I got the wrong bowl. I bought something specifically for the videos. Let me get that. Ta-da! There are times, friends and lovers, where I wish I wasn't an idiot, or at least less of an idiot, and I could actually remember to grab this crap before I hit the record button. All right, well, let's take a look anyway. I got this clear bowl. Oh, it is stinky. Oh, it is stinky. This smells okay. It smells like a fart factory. Without putting too fine of a point on it. Is that a fine point? Whether it is or not, without putting too fine of a point on it, it smells like a fart factory. We got chunks of, I assume this is meat. A meaty looking stuff. We got beans. I don't see any large chunks of onions. We might be all right. As long as it's not, I don't know. I do smell some spicy chiles goings on here. So, all right. So we're going to go, we need to warm this up, obviously. So since it's at room temperature, probably do like a minute and a half. Maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. I'm going to go, anyway, throw it in ye old nucrowave and see what we can see, and then come back, and let's just make a day of it, shall we? Oh, what a day, what a lovely day of having a bowl of canned chili. They did this for Halloween 2024, and my usual sources failed me in letting me know that said product was back and that it existed. And they have earned my eternal disappointment even more than they already had. You know, you kind of do the best with that you can. You try to keep tabs on stuff. And it's not like these websites owe me anything. I just wish I would have found out about this sooner. And who knows, will I ever have it again? I don't know. After this, I probably won't be making content on it ever again. Most chili, like I said, is pretty substandard to what I can make myself. Canned chili is, you know, it's a mass market thing. Most mass market things, including nearly every bit of fast food, is stuff that they are serving in a worse fashion than I can make myself. So, anyway, though, let's give this a little whack, a little wallop, and see just what we have here. I can smell super hots. I can smell the powder. When it's warmed up, there's a lot more of the fragrance here. There is a sort of vague super hot flavor here, which is what you'd expect using powder. You're basically just going to get heat, and that's it. There is some of the flavor dynamic here, more specifically the Reapers than the Ghosties. But what's weird is that you have the super hot flavor, you had a lot of the bitterness using a powder, of course. But the heat is really dialed down comparatively. So this would be a lot better if I had some cheese or sour cream, which is usually the way I have to choke down this stuff. I'm glad I tried it. No problem there particularly. I don't, it's not great. Was it worth the wait? If you're going to make content, you need stuff to make content about. So, chili dogs, right? It's, as I film this, as I said, it took me a while to chase it down. You can see I'm not filming this in summer. And so where I'm going with that, I did have a point. Where I'm going with that is we need to make some chili dogs. I should have got cheese because then I could have had chili cheese dogs, but I didn't. So these are just the Walmart specials. The Nathan's dogs that they have there, not off the grill or anything like that. By this point though, by the time you're seeing this, it will be summer and you could make grilled dogs for National Chili Dog Day. And I wanted to see how this would do in chili dogs. Much better, actually. By itself, it's a bit of a tough eat. I'll be honest, it's not very interesting. Hormel chili for me has always been kind of a bland, kind of uninteresting chili, and I would say that this fits right into that motif. I wish they would be daring when they do this. You know, let's really get it on. Let's use a smoked ghost pepper, first of all, and B, use ghost pepper first rather than Reaper, but for the Reaper, use actual Reaper peppers. I think they're both pretty good tasting pods. Don't use the powder. Be brave. Maybe that's something I'm gonna have to do. Is make up some chili. From scratch using Super Hots. Well, I'm just going to go on and finish up this whole bowl here, I think. What's interesting is mouth heat is not significant, but I got some on my lips, and my lips are burning more than my mouth is. Very weird. All right. Yeah, so this is going to be much like most canned chilies are. Much better with, whoa, you get in there. Some cheese and some sour cream. Some fresh diced Fresnos. You know, make it good. So I guess I should rate this for heat. Well, maybe I'll do it at the end, actually. It is... I wouldn't want to have this again. So they used to have just two, back years ago. They had the hot and then just the regular. And I never got the hot because I found it too bitter. The exact same problem I have with this. It's so weird that I actually feel it on my lips more than I do with mouth heat. What a weird thing. The big question, I think, is whether I'm going to give it a default one or a legit one. Probably a legit one. I'm glad they did it, even though I don't like it very much. I'm glad they're doing this. Get the Mighty Mighty Reaper out there. Get the Ghosties out there. In a better form than this, though. I mean, I can see why that Walmart had so many of them. For me, this is buy a can, and I don't think I'm ever subjecting myself to this again. All right, that's just a bun. Right. All right, I got 3 of these. Sometimes they're bigger size. These ones happen to, I think, just be mostly regular size. These are actually Nathan. Yeah, these are Nathan's. With dogs, I wish I would have just got a pack and cooked it myself, though. I should have done that. But I wasn't sure if this chili was going to be any good. The other one I had for National Chili Day, the Wolf, whatever it was bad. Like, I didn't come anywhere near finishing that one. Canned chilies, I think, are just really a super hit or miss. All right. It's so weird because, okay, so when you have super hot, sometimes you'll get what's basically a sort of temporary tinnitus. It's a form of it where you sort of get a little pulsing of like the heartbeat in your ears. And I'm getting this, but I have hardly any mouth heat. It is so strange to me. I can't make out what is the hot poop here with this. All right, we don't need the bowl anymore. This is one of the stranger products I think actually I've ever had. I'm feeling like it's like my stomach is reacting to this a bit more than anything else. It's goofy. I don't quite know what to make of this. And surely it's not because, what is this? Is it? Surely it's not because I had 600 calories from the can of chili with another probably 600 or more from the hot dogs. Surely it's not because this video is 1,200 calories deep. Surely not. It could also be the onions. They give me a little bit of turbulence sometimes too in the guts. There shouldn't be enough here, hopefully, to trigger that, but one never knows. When one suffers from intolerances. They did not cook this dog long enough. I am disappointed. Shit. It's really interesting because you have a number of bites of this, and it's like a normal, more or less a normal, just not very good tasting chili. And then you get these sections that are, like, I'm probably pretty close to legit one right now. You get these little, just burning sections. It's so weird. What an odd product. Okay. Well, this is, I prefer dogs fried in a pan over them being grilled. So, but I should have actually done that for this. This is kind of a, well, it's not a great representation of a National Chili Dog Day chili dog. And it's not just because, you know, it's mass market. That isn't totally the cause here. It is because, you know, like Wiener Schnitzel, right? Wiener Schnitzel is definitely mass market. No question about that. But their chili, I feel like, is pretty solid. Once or twice a year. I wouldn't want to have it all the time. I don't think it's that good, but I think it is an okay mass market chili. This is definitely very Hormel-y, if that makes sense. Hormelian. Is that a word? It is now. I am tired of eating this. There's my competitive eating career shot down in flames again. Okay, so what did we learn about today? Well, we've got some questions. One of the things we learned was that Walmart that's closest to me, I can't trust for hot dogs too much more any longer, I think. We have a couple questions, I think, attendant to this product. First, was it worth the wait? So I discovered that it existed, I want to say, around either 2019 or 20. I started making content for the FOH series in 2019. So I either found out about it somewhere towards the fall of 2019 or possibly 2020. I don't now recall which. There were some other channels. Main Event Pong was one that was doing a lot of spicy stuff at the time. I don't think he does a lot of that type of stuff any longer. But I vaguely remember this being on that channel and maybe a couple other ones. So I sort of tried to set out to find it, around then. And of course, there was a whole bunch of people that had bought a lot of it and were trying to sling it on eBay, of course. But this would have to be a whole new dynamic. Whole new dynamic for me to consider doing some of that, right? If I go to eBay to start picking up product to shoot content, that probably means that this is a money-making channel at that point. At the time of this filming, there has not been a single day that I could say that was true. So I kind of kept half an eye on Amazon because a lot of it stuff winds up on Amazon. And sometimes when it gets close to the expiration date, people will start just trying to offload it, right? Especially for stuff like some of the hot ones, not hot ones, especially for some of the stuff like the Pocky one chip challenges and stuff like that. They'll, they'll have them long enough that they're going stale because they're trying to sell them for like 20 or 30 bucks a pop, and maybe some of the bigger channels in this space, that could be a worthwhile purchase. Not for me, obviously. But, so anyway, I kept half an eye, and it was something I wanted to do because, Hormel chili is a pretty big name, and them jumping on the Mighty Mighty Reaper to me was really an interesting prospect, potentially. So, was it worth the wait? No. Is it any good? Not particularly. Are any of their chilies in a can any good? Not particularly. Is this worth getting? If you're interested in the chili head space, yes. Or if you really like Hormel canned chili, sure. It is surely the hottest version of this product, this chili. Is it hot though? So I would say at its peak, I would give it just barely a legit 1. But like I said, it's inducing some interesting reactions. I had a tiny bit of eye watering, but there was hardly ever any mouth heat. And I've got Reapers, unless I built up my tolerance to them, have sort of a interesting interaction with my stomach. Only Reapers seem to really do this. And I've got that at a very low level, but that sort of thing going on right now, which is so wild to me because in terms of mouth heat, this was like, it's a legit 1 I would give it. Like I said, I think it edged there, but most of it probably wasn't. Most of it was more like a default 1. So it is a very curious product to me. But definitely. If you are not accustomed to heat and you get this, you probably will find it to be surprisingly hot for a mass market commercial product. On the chili head side, I don't know that a lot of chili heads are going to find this to be particularly challenging, if at all. But it has a really weird dynamic. It could be a lot better. It should, frankly, be a lot better. But they're using powder, so what are you going to do? Definitely, I think the way to improve this, it was better on the dogs than it was by itself. By itself, it was pretty unpleasant, actually. But I find that to be the case with nearly every Hormel chili. So you got to dial it up. You got to doctor it up with, for me, like I said, some diced Fresnos probably, and a cheese, and possibly even a little dollop of sour cream if I happen to have it around. At that point, you have something pretty palatable. If you're making chili cheese dogs, that's probably going to help things as well. It has an okay base for that kind of stuff, but it isn't. Fundamentally, it's not a really super good tasting chili because Hormel does not actually make such a product, including this. So I wouldn't say it's strictly a novelty product. I wouldn't say it's strictly a gimmick. But I wouldn't say it's super removed from that either. If that makes any kind of sense at all. So, I am glad I did it though. It's a $3 can of chili, so it's not egregiously expensive comparatively. And like I said, I'm happy that they had this entry point into this quote unquote chili head world. And as a corporation getting into that world, I will say that they didn't just half-ass it. There is it's not high heat, but it's respectable for given the circumstances, right? Being that it's a heavily corporatized product, so I really wish they would have been brave. But I don't expect that from Hormel, right? Hormel is the same company that makes Spam, and they make all these variations of Spam. But if you happen to get Spam, you realize pretty immediately that it's a product that you have to really doctor up to make it, again, palatable. And I think that's just kind of Hormel's space, for better or worse. And this fits right into that. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, kind of what I expected. In a lot of ways, not at all what I expected. It was fun though. I'm certainly happy I did it, and we'll just leave it there. So that was the Hormel Ghost Reaper Chili. Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.